should actually watch the stream, eh? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Wednesday Night Motorsport at the GSRC. We're going to get straight into the action here tonight, live from Pocono for the GSRC NASCAR Cup Series Championship. It's been an evolution of the car from last year into the Cup Series Gen4, and from what I hear, it was quite an interesting race last week. Sorry to have missed it, but I am back here for round two. Later on in the evening, we'll be with you for round two of the Supercars as well. I'm Liam Banks. Alongside me is Daniel Yeaman. And I believe once we cut down, you'll see that the grid is already formed up behind the safety car. And as always, it will be a rolling start for the NASCAR series. And let's see if we can get up the qualifying results for you so we know who is going to be starting this round on pole.
Yes, let's see that there indeed. Liam, thank you very much for joining me here tonight once again. And apologies for all being a little bit rushed tonight, as getting back into the scheme of things. It appears that having ourselves a bit of a moment with...
Whilst Daniel sorts that out, I will go through what I can see as the order on SDK, which is the order the cars are lined up in at the moment. So that is Sean Campbell in first and Snowden in second. Then Nixon and Dance on the second row, Guy Leash and Colin Bennett on the third. Ashley Dodson lines up in seventh with Julian Mookie alongside him in eighth. Then it is Craig Rothie and Troy Davidson at the back of the top 10. Clayton Smith is in 11th with Perry Anastakis in 12th. Adam Lavis lines up in 13th with Tom Wilkinson alongside him. There we have Jackson Dial and Sean Benici, Gary Wellman and Sivan D. McKernan, Philip Clark, Tony Roffey, Hayden Garland and Eduardo Zamora. And as always, if I've butchered any pronunciations, just hit me up with a DM and I'll fix it for next week. These are your track conditions for tonight. As you can see, it is a tri-oval if you're not familiar with Pocono Raceway. And we have 10 kilometers now wind with a track temperature of 22 degrees and a temperature of 20. So absolutely perfect conditions for the boys out there tonight.
Apologies for that one there, folks. Looks like should be more sorted there now, as we're just looking to see the cars here on track.
And I believe this is live pictures, not a replay.
Yes, it is. Apologies for that. It did the thing. We're underway, and it was in slow-mo. That's why we can get the grid up.
Well, interesting enough, Dane Snowden has taken the lead immediately from Sean Campbell, who's fallen all the way down to 4th place, with Cameron Dance elevated to 2nd, and Colin Nixon remaining where he was in 3rd place. So there's the number 3 of Dane Snowden, familiar number, slightly different livery, because of course it is a different car compared to last season, but we are used to seeing Dane Snowden running up towards the front. For those of you that missed last week, it was Campbell that took victory in race 1, but he's already pulled into pit lane, so I do wonder if we get some shenanigans at the start here, or some sort of penalty for him. Connor Nixon 62nd with a very distinct and different colour scheme on his vehicle. As the cars go free wide a little bit further back, I believe that was Dodson part of that. May have been wrong. Adam Lavis also alongside Colin Bennett and Sean Benici a little bit further in the background, but Dane Snowden continues to lead here at Pocono into lap 2, just coming around the final corner. And Cameron Dance sits in 3rd with Guy Leach in 4th. Other movers in the first lap, Adam Lavis up 5 places, Jackson Dial up 5 places, Benici up 4, McKernan up 4 as well. So quite a few movers and shakers in the opening salvos of this one. Cena going free, threatening to make it 4 wide in the background there with McKernan, Bennett, Benici and Wellman. Colin Bennett losing out, falls down to 16th as part of that, as Colin Nixon forms a right behind Dane Snowden and immediately taps him round, and the two of them are sent careening towards the inside barrier. They just about avoid it, but behind them in sympathy, and I think slowing up to try and avoid it. There's been more collisions with a good portion of the pack involved in that one, so the pit lane will be very, very busy in a few moments' time, and we're going to have to sit down and unpack exactly what happened there. First of all, with the leaders, and second of all, further back in the pack.
Yeah, I think we've had a double incident there, which, well, basically all snowballed into one big crash at the same spot, hence the caution being thrown by Sam Stride in race control tonight. Cam Dance and Guy Leach are 2 drivers at the front of the train who survive it. Nixon still comes out 3rd on the road despite that incident. So now drivers got to get themselves sorted out. Here's a chit chat about getting themselves in order, and then we'll be able to get ourselves sorted, open the pits, and see who takes a stop here off the rip at the start of this race.
Yeah, it's never a bad strategy to put yourself on fresher tyres than the opposition. We've seen that tyre life plays a huge part of these battles. Of course, I'm talking mostly from what I saw last season. Cars have changed, so that formula might change a little bit, but it's generally not a bad idea just to stick with the yellows in pit. So I'm sure a few of the drivers, particularly those with damage, will take that option. Those that back their pace, even on slightly older rubber, will of course stay out as we start to form up behind the safety car.
Well, the big things here tonight, Liam, going to be that after running Homestead Miami last week, which is a modest-sized oval, actually, I don't know if it's 1.5 miles or 2 miles. I probably should have tried to look it up before saying it. Tonight here at Pocono, it's a big circuit, tricky triangle. I believe it comes in at 2.5 miles. Yeah, 2.5 mile length course. So here we go. Drivers looking for the pit lane, but no one taking pits at the front at least.
We see Wilkinson, Wellman, Anastakis, Snadden, Bennett, McKernan, Rofi, and Garland all taking the opportunity to fix their broken, beaten down cars. That's missing a wheel. That's supposed to have 4 wheels, yeah, believe it or not. It has at most 3. So well to get that back to pit lane, I reckon.
Oh, he's got to find the right spot in the pit box, Chief. Yes, I will roast you on camera, and I don't think he's got his fast repair tick, Liam, because that... Yeah, he forgot to enable his fast repair. That's an extra double roast for you, Tom Wilkinson.
Oh, here we go.
You know what, maybe I should put him out of his misery now. Oh, there we go.
Oh, there it is. There's the wheel.
It fixed for him, but... Still getting used to racing, I think, is Tom. If you missed it, I was completely caught out by his appearance last week with a couple of our guys from Orbit Drop Air, because he doesn't always race, and then all of a sudden he's turned up in a car, a type of car that he's often described as bricks, boats, and other necessarily favourable comments. So, colour me their surprises. It looks like our first decision of the night has come in. Well, that says lap 3, and we're only on like lap 4 or 5, I swear. So maybe
that was the incident towards the back of the pack.
Yes,
that we saw, I believe. That was Wellman and McKernan, I believe, listed on that, if my memory serves correctly, and it was no further action, which perhaps isn't a surprise because live it looked like a reaction to what happened ahead of them. So, I mean, we'll have to look back at that when we got the opportunity to, but I'd be surprised if there was anything that too many people could do about that one. I think much more interesting to see is how it started towards the front, because we cut to it live just as it was sort of unfolding, and we didn't see the build-up.
I'm trying to find Dan Snatton here. Oh, he's got loose, I think, by himself.
Yeah. Yes, he has.
Let me cue that up again for us, just to confirm. Apologies, it seems to have done a bit of a funny thing on me whilst I was trying.
Either that or his horrible netcode, which seems unlikely.
Yes. Let's try that one last time. It keeps jumping to a different camera angle. Oh. I think I know what it is. Okay. I think I figured out what's happening. It seems to be pushing it into a replay state. Or a slow speed replay state. That or there's an issue with Dane's connection at the time. So I think we're going to have to leave that there for now. His lights are out in the pace track. Got half a lap until we go back racing. As a comment there from Sean Campbell in the YouTube chat. Got himself flagged at the start of the race, which is why he's here in 14th, which is a -13 because he was on pole to start this one.
Yeah, he'll come flying back through. Do not be surprised if we see him battling at the pointy end for the end of this one. All it's going to take is for him to make a few positions, get another safety car, which, let's face it, is not an unlikely scenario in the Pantech Gen4 series. So yeah, I think we're going to see him towards the front before we wrap up this broadcast.
All right, single file restart for this one here, folks. Cam Dance to lead us away at the top of the town. Guy Leach, Connor Nixon, Craig Roffey, Julian Mookie, your top 5 as we await the green in Barney's hands. He'll drop the hammer now. We're back underway at Pocono.
We are back underway and immediately Connor Nixon's a little aggressive on the inside of Guy Leach. He's looking to recover back to the lead after being involved in what seems to be an unfortunate incident. And he's going to be in second for the end of the first corner and latching himself onto the back of Cameron Dance, who's putting on quite a bit of pace out the front behind Connor Nixon. You can see Rofi and Mookie looking likely. Mookie on the outside of Nixon, and it is Rofi on the inside looking to swamp him like a sandwich, and they have done so, really getting him down to 5th place. And Mookie's not finished there. If he can, he's going to try and get a move on Guy Leach, who washes out a little bit at the end of the corner. You can see the back end just try to step out there, but he's managed to get good momentum onto the straight as Mookie and Rofi go side by side. In the background, that is Rofi on the inside, Mookie on the outside. And they're going to make it through here safely. Are they? Are they? Yes, they are. Going to carry good momentum onto the straight. And you can see this top 4 already breaking away a little bit for Connor Nixon. I wonder if he's got a little bit of damage. Didn't come into the pit lane after being caught up in that scuffle. He's already half a second down. Of course, with the help of such a stuff, he will be able to arrest that slide quite easily if he's got the pace. But that is Troy Davidson going around hitting the wall. And remaining to green flag conditions for now. And this is the battle at the front. So Guy Leach right behind Danson. It's Mookie making the play for second. Down in that low line. Gets it done. Leach filters in behind Mookie. And Craig Roffey, now the 4th car in this battle, tries to get alongside. But we cut back down here to 7th. And this is Adam Lavis side by side with Ashley Dodgson, I believe. No, that is Jackson Dial on his inside. Apologies. Dodgson is the car ahead of him. Oh, that's a touch of the wall there for Gary Wellman, I believe, behind Dial. Quite a heavy hit, but managed to keep it going in a straight line. Plans open the door for Dane Snadden, who's recovering from that incident, was winning the race. He's down in 11th, 10th place. Make that 9th now as he overtakes Gary Wellman on the outside. If he can keep the momentum, Wellman took a much tighter line. Does so, and he'll get a healthy slipstream from 4 cars there to help him maintain pace. It is on the outside line. On the high line, you've got Colin Nixon towards the front of that with Dial behind him, and then on the inside line, you've got Lavis leading it. But this battle pack is completely detached now from the top 4. A second between Dodgson and Rofi, as Adam Lavis becomes the latest car to get past Connor Nixon. Jackson Dial's going to try and make it 2 cars in 1 corner. Dane Snadden getting right up behind. Ooh, and there's another touch there on the wall for... That would have been Wellman again. It's that car. The right-hand side of that car is going to be looking like it's come from a second-hand shot before the end of this one. And we're now 3 wide down into the first corner. And there's a spin in the middle of the... Oh, not a spin in the middle of the pack. Manages to catch the slide, but then gets tapped in the rear. And now it's a full spin with Dial and Bennett, the cars involved.
Yeah, rough one there for Dial, it seems. But he comes away without too much damage. Bennett's front end, that's... looking the worse for wear now. So second time, Sam Stroud's going to line them up. And now we've got the game of who's going to pit once the caution pit's open, I should say. It's going to take us a little moment for that to happen because of the fact we've got to get around here on this lap, pick up the pace truck once it comes out of the lane, and then we can worry about slowing everyone down.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see who takes the opportunity to pit as part of this stoppage. Certainly those that pitted last time, Dane Snadden moved up a heap of places, back up into 8th place. Wellman and McKernan were looking feisty as well when you compare that to the likes of, I mean, I'm looking at Sean Campbell, didn't really move forward much in that period of racing there of about 5 laps. Similarly, we saw Connor Nixon go backwards, although that was to cars on the same age tyre, not to cars with younger tyres. I think that might just be a little bit of damage on Nixon's car, given he certainly had a pace at the start of the race.
Yeah, we've got a fair few drivers here who maybe took a minor lick, decided not to drop down the lane straight away. Maybe they'll do so now, or will they opt to perhaps just stay there and fix the car up in the conventional sense and leave the fast repair for any big ones they may get themselves caught up in. That's at least what I would think to be the operating theory for this one at this point in the race. You're still not even just past the quarter distance mark, so bit of wiggle room now there. But even so, you've also got things like, well, we've had a couple of decent hits. Oh, we want to wait it out. And let's see here. Will the leaders take to the lane? Dance will. Mookie will. Leach, I think, yep, coming in. Looks like this is going to be about everyone into the lane here to service the cars, except maybe a couple of people seeking a fast repair here.
It is absolutely everybody on the lead lap of this one is in the lane. So it's going to become a real race of who can hit their marks accurately. We've seen Jarvis having issues with that earlier on. No such issues for Cameron Dance, though. Hits his mark perfectly. And we wait to see who wins the race off pit lane. It will be Dance who's first to lead them away.
A few only stopped for Dance, I think. I did not see that car prop up on its jacks in any way, shape or form. We should see some cars here, like, there you go, Guy Leach's car popping up. He's taking right side tyres there. And there go to left side tyres as well for Leach. So there you go. We've got top 3 of Dance, Snadden, and Campbell. Either no tyres, maybe 2 tyres, but I don't think so. Let me actually switch pit lap for some pit time information here. We can compare and contrast. For Julian Mookie, 14 seconds. Yeah, that's definitely tyres on the 39. 10.6. That's 2 tyres, I think, for Clayton Smith and Sean Benici, if there was nothing else that we missed.
Would not surprise me. We've seen that strategy quite a bit previously. So I think you're calling that right. 2 tyres for them. And then Adam Lavis taking all 4 tyres. Second car on the road to have done so.
Phil Clark, he looks to be 4. Wellman 4, I would say. Roffy's done 4, but maybe some damage repair without a fast repair, or there was something else with his pit stop that dragged things out a bit. Same for Ashford Dodgson. And then a bit more of a normal 15 seconds 4 tyre stop, I think, for Siobhan. Alright, let's try and pick up a replay of this second caution here tonight. I'm just hoping that the replay machine doesn't get stuck in slow-mo, I think is seemingly part of the drama I was having earlier.
Just a few cars, not part of the pack at the moment. And they're just heading round as they start to form up 2 lines. So I believe we will get back to green flag running at the end of this lap.
Yes, we will indeed. Okay, let me just have a quick look here. Cue this up here real quick, folks. Oh, it's going to behave. Fantastic. I want to find right when I want them. Where are they? So that's the contact. And additional contact from behind Colin Bennett. So that got given a drive-through issue to Jackson Dial in the number 5. That moment there. A bit of a piece together of what happened with all of that. Okay. Coming into turn 3, because there is no turn 4 here at Pocono, and one would best be aware of that fact. In the hands of Cam Dance once again. Dane Snadden to the outside here for this restart. We're waiting for the green as we head into the restart zone.
And the race has been restarted with Dance at the head of the inside lane and Snadden at the head of the outside lane, and immediately they're filtering out to take it 3 wide further back in the pack. But Dance looks like he's going to be unchallenged going into the first corner. Indeed, it's going to be Sean Campbell who's moved away up to second. Didn't I say watch for him? He's going to be battling at the front before the end of this one. And so it is with Dance, Snadden and Campbell. 3 of the 4 cars at the front of this race at the start have returned to the front to do battle. Once more, everything has been reset except for Con Nixon being down in 12th place. And Dane Snadden hits the front once again. He span out earlier on, but he has reclaimed that position that he will have coveted before the race, and for his sake I hope he can hold on this time, but he's going to have a hell of a battle with Dance and Campbell behind him. Mookie is in 4th place, resuming battle where he was before with Clayton Smith, the white and pink car in 15th, and then that is Adam Lavis working his way up into 6th place to try and make sure this time he is part of the lead breakaway pack if such a pack does once again form. We move here from Mookie down the inside, nowhere near Sean Campbell ahead of him.
Oh, incident at the back.
Of course, Sean Benici has found the wall, and we're back under yellow flag conditions, and it seems that McKernan has also been involved in that incident.
Frank Roffey just apologising on the radio there as we pick up Shaborn's unfortunately rather wounded car. Let's jump straight to a replay here to try and pick this one apart.
Sure, it's Craig and not Tony Roffey.
I believe I heard Craig. I could be wrong. As 049 of Ashley Dodgson gets loose in turn 1, and then unfortunately here for Sean Benici and Shabor McKernan, they end up being the first victims of that one there.
Yeah, it looks like an unfortunate incident, that one. It was never stable on the way. Sean Benici tries to sneak through, there just isn't quite enough space. But I don't think there was much else Benici could have done to avoid that.
Well, as we approach halfway on the clock, we're still actually not in complete disaster territory for getting the laps done, but we are going to need a green flag spell to keep on track here, because we are going to have this one and at least one more. I'm thinking possibly a second pace lap after this one here to worry about.
And there's a drive through for car 30, Craig Roffey, rear contact with car 49, Ashley Dodgson.
Alright, so that's what's unfortunately triggered this one here. So no one from the front going to take to the pits. We are going to have at least one more lap here behind the pace truck.
Some of the damaged cars in the background taken to pit lane. So that is Wilkinson, McKernan, Dodgson, Benici, and Anastakis, all keeping their pit crews busy. I must say, I would love it if we could get iRacing to put in actual pit crews working with the cars. That'd be quite nice. Even better if they have an option so that you could have the team from Cars with the little The little guy with the that loves Ferrari. That'd be fun. Anyway, I'll start rambling now. Dane Snadden the lead this one with Cameron Dance alongside him. Sean Campbell will restart in third with Mookie in fourth. Gary Melman, he's doing well so far. He's up 10 spots into 7th, just behind Adam Lavis, who's up 8 spots into 6th spot. Philip Clark's another big mover. He's up into 10th. Eduardo Zamora up 9 spots into 30th. And Tony Rofi's up a very respectable 5 into 15th.
Yeah, I'll have to keep an eye. As you said, Liam, that on our drives that have been moving tonight. That will be important to watch out for. But to me, it does feel like at this stage it's going to be a case of survival is more important than...
Absolutely.
Yeah, drivers are making their spots up by surviving, so yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, if you are below the top 5, you're going to have a much better race just focusing on trying to get to the end, not being involved in incidents. You'll almost certainly get a better result than if you're really pushing to trying to make your way forward, because you will get involved in something. We've seen that time and time and again. We've seen cars right at the back of the pack with like 10 laps to go, and they finished in the top 3. There's always opportunities if you keep your nose clean. So you're very much right. That is the way to play this. And if you want to, you know, get a bit aggressive in the last few laps, if you need to. But joking, saying turn 3 is a murderer's paradise at Pocono. And I have to say, I don't disagree with that assessment based on what we've seen so far tonight. But you feel the big one is still to come.
Strong possibility of it, yes, indeed. Right. Lights are back out. Got ourselves half a lap to green here once more as we approach the halfway point on time. Now comes the question of, are we going to get our laps in here, fellas? We wouldn't mind a green flag run here, as it will be Dane Snadden this time to take the green, having taken the lead off Cameron Dance before caution was thrown. Sean Campbell still riding third. Mookie, Clayton Smith, top 5. Maverick, Wellman, Roffey, Nixon, Clark rounding out the 10 as we get ready to go racing once again.
And it will be a single file restart, so everything should be a little bit more sensible. As the safety car pulls in, there's no sudden braking from Dane Snadden, or even light braking, so you won't get a penalty from race control. And we get underway once again at Pocono.
So bold of you suggest that guaranteed A-OK. Just because of a single file with a very wide track, corners are quite a lot of overtaking opportunities there. Down to 19 drivers in this pack, all on the lead lap.
And all very much in a shout of winning this race. As we see Dane Snadden very, very wide. Did he clip the wall there? Certainly lost a chunk of momentum. Cameron Dance also throwing up sparks as he tries to slot himself into the gap between Snadden on the wall. Does not try to hang it out around the outside, just tucks in behind Snadden instead. And Sean Campbell instead takes a different line to try and take advantage. Not able to do so on that corner. And a single line once again, Snadden down to Campbell. And there's a bunch of movement further down in the pack. I wonder if there has been a slight incident somewhere. A couple of names falling down through the field. But we resume battle at the front. And Snadden once again taking that wide line, and Cameron Dance just holding it much tighter. And the top 5 cars have absolutely broken away, and it's Connor Nixon in 6th place, a second behind the lead pack, leading the second pack, and he's going to come under a wonderful amount of pressure from Gary Wellman, who we've seen just touch the wall a couple of times, getting that car quite loose on the exit of turn 2. Probably wants to just try and settle that down. as Nixon throws up some sparks as he chucks it into turn 3. Couple of cars doing battle on the right of that picture. Oh, that's a big touch of the wall for Wellman.
Well, actually, that was Nixon in front of the fact I saw
Nixon?
there hit the fence.
It may very well have been both of them.
You hit the fence. You've hit the fence. Has everyone hit the fence?
I mean, I feel like you just follow the car. You naturally follow the car ahead a bit, don't you? So we do often see that sympathy hit of the wall. And often the car, the second or third in line, actually hits it a little bit harder because they kind of get sucked in. But not this time because Gary Wellman's on the inside of Nixon. So if Wellman hits the wall, then Nixon's definitely hitting the wall instead. Nixon tucks in behind him, tries to go for a little bit of an up and under. Nothing going on there. So Gary Wellman will now lead the second pack. That is 1.10 seconds in arrears to the top 5, which is Snadden, Dance, Campbell, Nuki, and Lavis at this point. You just see in the back there, that is Guy Leach trying to make a move on Philip Clark, just behind Connor Nixon. Is he going to get it done? Guy Leach on the inside. Philip Clark holds it on the slightly high line for now. Fastest lap of the race on the last lap for Julian Mookie in 4th place. So he'll be hoping to turn that into a podium position sooner rather than later. And now it's Clark and Nixon doing battle. Nixon on the outside, a little bit of a touch there, and it's unsettled Clark. And that's sent Nixon into Troy Davidson as well. Somehow I think Davidson came off worse in all of that than either of the cars involved initially. Con Nixon's continued on pretty much just fine behind Guy Leach, and it's relegated Philip Clark to the back of that battle pack, which is significantly ahead of 13th down to 17th, which are 1.3 seconds further down the track. So we'll continue under green flag racing, but there's a very close run thing there. And this is Tony Rofi on the outside of Parry Anastakis. Anastakis moving up into 14th place. Keep an eye out for Panastakis. He does try to play a tactical game. We've spoken to him before. He's quite happy to sit towards the back and then make his moves later on in the race. So just look for him to try and bridge the gap between this group and the next group, as Ashley Dodgson is doing ahead of him. That gap now down to 0.9 of a second.
These guys at the back want to get in the game. They're going to have to line up, sort themselves out. Next gap to open is starting to be in behind Adam Lavis. 1.1 back to Gary Wellman. He'll be looking to see if he can still get a whiff of the slipstream and use that to his advantage.
Yeah, settled down well after that battle with Connor Nixon. You can see Connor Nixon 1.2 behind this group, so you've almost got 3 groups now. You've got the group of 5, then you've got just Wellman and Leach by themselves having a merry old time. And then you've got Nixon all the way down to Tom Wilkinson as the 3rd and largest battle pack of this race. As we watch Eduardo Zamora, he is defending from Troy Davidson currently. Oh, thought that was going to be a touch then, but Troy Davidson just sneaks in behind Zamora. And I think had a meeting with them all there that was unscheduled. And nobody likes to have an unscheduled meeting. Although this is one that AI won't summarise for it. But I can summarise it. We've got Philip Clark here, just behind Ashley Dodgson. Dodgson looking quite racy behind Anastakis from this view. Philip Clark just not able to keep pace on the straight there. And then washing out horribly in the corner. So much understeering, he's going to hit the wall.
Whoa!
That's a car that needs some repairs, I think. Well, he's not going to want to do it under green flag conditions. He's going to hold on and hope there's a safety car. He's going to need it if he's going to feature any higher in the points positions before the end of this one.
Sean Benici there diving underneath to avoid that high-flying Phil Clark. a little up the order. Now look here at Hannah Stark is here. In front of Troy Davidson, Ashley Dodgson. Down the back stretch they'll go.
Yeah, good lap last time around for Hannah Stark is significantly quicker than the cars around him. And like I said before, he does do this. He likes to stay back a little bit and then make his moves a little bit later on in the race when he knows the positions are really going to count. And I think we are seeing him making his move. He was in 14th, now he's in 11th, and he is slowly but surely eating into that gap to Eduardo Zamora ahead. But further up that gap from Guy Leach to Colin Nixon has continued to grow 2.8 seconds, and Colin Nixon just does not have the pace of the cars ahead of him at the moment. He's a good half-second lap slower than Guy Leach, hence why that gap has ballooned out. But Gary Wellman's not able to do enough to close in on the top 5, and that gap is also going up to 1.8. As we watch here, Clayton Smith trying to launch attack on the Monos more. It does get past, and then we've got Connor Nixon. He's going to come up through the middle of both of them in the corner. No, oh, so close contact there between Anna Stark, between Zamora and Smith. Keep the cars all pointing in the right direction. Colin Nixon tries to come off with a bunch more speed, cuts to the outside. He's going to hit the wall quite heavily there, and then there's going to be contact behind from Clayton Smith. Clayton Smith can't see where he's going, so he's got a bumper in his way. A bonnet, even.
That's a new one. I haven't seen that. The thing is, he's got to slow the car all the way down to get the bonnet to sit back down on the its broken mounting points. In the middle of all of this, we have had a change for the race lead, and I am a little sorry. It's actually just literally happened to turn 1 in the middle of all that madness. Sean Campbell back to the pointy end of the town. Now, the 5-car lead battle pack. Campbell, Snatter, Dan Smookie, and Maverick Lavis, however you want to call it. And then Guy Leach, Gary Wellman going pound for pound here over P6.
Oh, that's
Wellman to the
big
fence again.
hit for Wellman. I'll tell you what, that driver would be concussed if it was real. But as it is, I'm sure Wellman's just fine and not concussed. Well, he is starting quite unfair with that wall, isn't he? They had an impromptu meeting. Now they've had something more than a meeting just then. And soon I think we'll be hearing wedding bells if there's any more touching between the two of them. Or maybe they'll make a little baby wall. Anyway, we got Sean Campbell hitting the front for the first time since the lead lap. He got pinged for the start. He's not sure why he got pinged for an illegal start, but he had to serve a penalty that put him to the back of the field, and he's just worked his way up since then and is now finally hit the front where he'll feel he belongs after having won the first race last Wednesday. Dane Stanley doing a wonderful job behind him in second place, but he's coming under increasing pressure. Cameron down to the gap between them, just 2 tenths of a second at the moment, as we're watching Ashley Dodgson side by side with Tom Wilkinson. Tom Wilkinson, the car, doing the overtaking on the inside, and he's going to get that move done well before the corner, so forces his own speed on the straight. And I think we're seeing one of our first green flag stops in the background there. That'll likely be the damage to Clayton Smith. Connor Nixon also having done 2 stops, stopped on lap 28, so he also completed a green flag stop after that incident where he hit the wall and then took rather a nasty whack from behind from Smith. Certainly not the first driver we've seen into the wall tonight. Quite a few of the drivers you can see are visibly struggling with a bit of understeer, just edging towards that wall, unable to keep the car rotating correctly and get the tyres underneath them. And just pushing up into that wall where they're trying to get too aggressive.
Trouble is for these green flag stoppers, because these are the drivers that got entangled out of turn 3. The time they lost and the position they were in the pack means that they've still come out a lap down here. It's a big oval, yes, but it is also a pretty lengthy pit lane here at Pocono. And as a result, you really have to be up near the pointy end to be able to stay comfortably on the lead lap here. So these drivers now, Davidson, Clayton Smith, actually, pardon me, the only 2 drivers outrunning the lap down. Colin Nixon is by the skin of his teeth, holding onto the lead lap, and presumably desperately hoping that these drivers here leading our field are going to run out of fuel at some point. So coming to turn one once again. Now, riddle me this. Coming up on 12 minutes to go, and we're lapping at 53 seconds a lap, give or take. Coming up towards 54 seconds a lap as tyres burn off versus the fuel there. Are we going to get our 45 scheduled laps, or is the cold, hard clock of 50 minutes going to get us tonight?
If it stays green, I believe we'll just sneak it in. If it stays green. It's 53 seconds a lap, so you're getting 7 seconds on a full minute. So you get what, 8 laps? Yeah, eight-ish laps to get a minute out of it. Maybe call it 9, so it's quite high towards 4 seconds, 9, 10, and we're getting it at 12, so we're gonna get that minute back. So yeah, they should just about get it all in time, as long as it stays green to the end. Forgive me if my maths was terrible. I may have a maths degree, but I am tired. It's been a long day. So take that with some pinch of salt. As we watch Sol Campbell trying to defend here from Dance. He seems to have really good pace in the late races of this. He dispatched Dane Stanton a couple of laps ago and is now right on the tail end of Sean Campbell. Stanton just looks like he hasn't quite kept the tyres as well. There's a couple of the other drivers in the pack. Adam Lavis looking quite menacing behind him as well. His lap times are closer to Campbell and Dance than they are to Stanton and Mookie around him. So he'll want to clear Stanton as soon as he can, and indeed he moves to the inside right now and is going to claim third place for his own, and now we can see what he can do about that second of arrears he has to Campbell. And Dance known to move, not quite done. Yes, now his move is done on Stanton. And there's going to be no rush for Dance here to overtake Campbell. As long as he does it before the end of the race, then it counts just as much as if he does it earlier. And sometimes being... Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I ran the numbers through the calculator, and yeah, we were sitting on enough time when they crossed the line last lap to do 12 laps. And they started that lap, indeed, 12 to go exactly. We're coming up here. Now, obviously, don't forget that even though it says lap 35 now, it still means 11 laps to go. So we are indeed pit stop, though, for our leading drivers. Could tip us a lap short.
Yes.
So that is now on the edge.
Right on the edge. It'd be right on the edge if they do take a pit stop. Right on the very edge. On the plus side, the university police aren't going to come and take my degree away from me, so that's nice. I can keep my job. Adam Lavis getting ahead of Dane Stanton. Mookie's going to try and pull his way through on the number 3 as well. The number 3 is fought hard. It led for periods of this race. He's just not quite able to hold on. And wonder if he might become the first to dive down into pit lane, get himself into fresh boots, see if he can make something happen and try and promote himself back up into the podium places. Because at the moment he is only going backwards, and it is Guy Leash going to be the next car that's going to try and get past the 3. And Julian Mookie's going to go with him. Leach and Mookie making it 3 wide with Snadden. No, Leach took them behind, but Mookie goes for the move down the inside. No, not quite able to get it done. He might open himself up to attack from Leach instead. Yes, they both want to get past Snadden, but they want to make sure that they stay ahead of each other as well. Meanwhile, Adam Lavis is just falling further behind Campbell Dance, 1.9 seconds back now, so he's looking unlikely to threaten the top 2. And instead, he's going to have to defend before the end of this one. So it is Campbell and Dance in a 2-car race for the lead, with Lavis, Snadden, Mookie, Leach and Wellman in a 5-car battle for the final spot on the podium. You must wonder what Wellman's car could do if it hadn't started an affair with the wall. Because it's got to be carrying at least a little bit of damage at this point, because we've seen at least 2 heavier hits and there's been a few more glances stolen whilst we weren't looking.
Oh, there we go. Well, today I learned when we go on board with our Gen 4 NASCARs here tonight, cameras kindly supplied by Adam Lavis, who's right in front of us here as we're on board with Gen3. We can see the tacho here on our Chevy Monte Carlos. If we jump to, for example, Adam, who's in the Ford Taurus, we actually missed that info, and we unfortunately get some of the other dials that are in this car, but not providing us with live information. So, added bonus there.
That's a nice shot. That new lighting engine was very much an upgrade.
And to think we're only partly there in terms of the upgrades. We're still on, at its core, still the old graphics engine. So we'll be waiting to see exactly how long it takes the development team to roll out the new engine to all of us members of iRacing. By Leach, still trapping on Jules and Mookie, 5th and 6th place respectively. Anyone peeling off? Nope, they are all powering down the stretch as, Leach has turned to find the wall there on the exit of 3.
Yeah, that's not going to help your pace, Guy. Don't do that too many times. Else Mookie will finish ahead of you. We know how much you want to finish ahead of Julian. And this is the battle for 8th place. Apparently Aristarchus has continued trudging his way up the field. 8th's going to be as far as it goes, though, because he's 5.7 seconds behind Wellman in 7th. And he's going to struggle to hold on to 8th because here comes Tom Wilkinson on the low line. They're now side by side going down the straight. You've got Ashley Dodgson tucked in behind them, trying to find it himself an opportunity to make a position or maybe two if he's feeling brave. Who is got a decision to make here? Which car does he stick behind? Which lane does he pick? Flicks up to sit behind Aristarchus. And just keeps that fresh air on his bonnet as he goes through the first phase of the corner. Then tucks in behind Tom Wilkinson. Aristarchus gets a touch of the wall on exit, and that's going to arrest his momentum a little bit and give Tom Wilkinson maybe a sniff. Not quite enough happening there. That touch needs to be a little bit stronger to cause him a real ill effect. Nice line there from Wilkinson, gets himself from Dodgson, even gets himself alongside Wilkinson, and they'll do battle into turn 2.
Yeah, a little opportunistic there from Tom. Tried to pick up the power with some clean air on the nose, but as a result just immediately straight up into the wash from Aristarchus, and has to then roll it through the corner. Dodgson, on the other hand, is able to cut down with enough of a reduction in his momentum on entry to get to the clean air underneath Wilkinson and drive out, but doesn't secure the place by the time we're around here through turns 2 and 3. So they come across the line as they were once again, as we're inside the final 5 laps of this race if we get all of them.
Which I believe we will at this point, assuming nobody makes a very, very late pit stop. There's no way they will do so willingly. Short of a hell of a lot of damage, because they just will not make time before the end of the race. So we will be racing to the flag here. And it is still Campbell and Dance by themselves up front. Campbell still ahead of Dance. That gap has not been above 0.3 of a second for many, many laps now, and they're coming up to lap Connor Nixon, who was making a move for the lead very early on in this race.
And I'll just double check to confirm again that fuel tanks are not restricted again tonight, unlike what we saw in the ARCA series last Gen season. So, you know what? 45 laps it may be, but for everyone who came in on the lap 11 caution, or came in on lap 11 under caution, if they've saved a bit of fuel and managed things a bit, they might just have what they need to be able to get
and
this
that's
one
a huge
done.
moment.
Oh, big trouble though on the exit of turn 1.
An even bigger moment for that is Tom Wilkinson and Ashley Dodgson not going the correct direction on the straight, or in fact not going at all in the case of Dodgson. And just before that, we saw Dance having quite the collision with the wall, but able to keep it going. But that might just finish off his attempt to go for the lead.
Yeah, Tom, that one looks like that's on you from that angle. I might try one more angle just to see if I can have a chance to be able to say it was
To defend him.
50-50. But Hannah stuck us up on that. Out of, yeah, no, never mind.
Yeah, nah, sorry.
Nope. In the sim bin with you, son. Because you've ended your own race and you've ended Ashley's race as well to boot.
Not a great way to end what had been a fairly strong race for him up until that point. So that's a real shame. And an even bigger shame that Ashley Dodgson was the innocent bystander in that instant. But we return to footage at the front of this race. 3 laps to go. It is Campbell ahead of Dance. Dance really pushing. We saw him take a bunch of the paint off the wall a couple of laps ago, but he's been able to stay with Campbell. No, that's a better angle. Tries to find a little bit of free air below Campbell on entry, but then Campbell obviously takes that inside line and just steals the air off the front of Dance's car. And yeah, there will be a post-race investigation for the incident we just saw. I dare say it won't be the longest investigation that the stewards have had today. The big thing the stewards want to do, and that is huge. I can't believe he's been able to save that and not even hit the wall. Seriously
Flirting with the apron too.
God, he really wants this, doesn't he? He really wants this victory. He's leaving nothing on the table. He's not going to go to sleep tonight not knowing whether he could have got the victory. He's going to get it, or he's going to know for sure that he couldn't do anything about Campbell, who is in imperious form, took the victory last time out. He's looking to double up tonight. He's only got 2 more corners to go to hold on for a second straight victory in the GSRC Gen4 Cup Series. And back markers also in play here. But I don't think it's going to make a difference to the result. That cuts the inside. He's now right behind Campbell. They're chucking in with so much speed. But both keep it out of the wall. 1 more corner to go. It is turn 3. The murderer's dream, according to some of the pundits watching tonight. But it is not the murderer's dream for Campbell. It's his dream, because he has taken a second straight victory in the Gen 4 Cup Series. Dance follows him home in second, and Lavis is up 11 spots to finish on the podium.
Yeah, some lovely stuff there. Yeah, as I said, big ups to Adam Lavis, Gary Wellman, Tony Roffey, 3 drivers in the double digits for your positions gained here tonight. Unfortunately, a couple of drivers like Connor Nixon, Ashley Dodson and Colin Bennett not getting the same luck out there, and going more the other way at the end of business. But that looks to be just about everyone across the line. We're waiting on a couple of drivers to finish up, and then we'll have our results. Looks like Harry Anastakis is going to be our last car that will finish. Although he's already going slow, so maybe not.
I mean, there's no need to push, right?
I suppose so.
Might as well take it easy, make sure you get to the end. He's got no one to threaten him from behind. Either that or he's already finished, he's just going to pull it into pit lane.
Well, according to what I'm seeing within the timing and scoring of the system, he hasn't taken the checker, but he's running out of time to do so, because the time has just hit 0 now. Oh, no, there you go. Cross the line now. That'll wrap that up there. So we can now bring up the official race results from iRacing. They look a little something like this.
Yeah, and that is Sean Campbell taking his second win in 2 races so far this season. Cameron Dance makes it a second podium in 2 races, and Adam Lavis becomes the 4th person to step onto the podium this season, and the biggest mover of the night. Guy Leach finishes in 4th spot, with Dane Snadden behind him, who led for large portions of this race but just couldn't keep the tyres towards the end. Mookie had a fighting race to finish in 6th. Gary Wellman is up 10 spots to finish in 7th spot. Benici finishes in 8th, and he's up 8 spots, so another forward moving race for him. Craig Roffey finishes just ahead of Tony Roffey in 9th and 10th places respectively, with Tony Roffey up 10 spots. Philip Clark up 8 into 11th, with Tom Wilkinson in 12th, Then we get into some of the drivers who had more potential, I think it's fair to say. Starkis finishes in 13th, Dial in 14th, Connor Nixon started towards the front but finishes in 15th, Troy Davison is in 16th, Smith in 17th, Dodgson in 18th after starting much higher up, Zamora in 19th, McKernan in 20th, Colin Bennett in 21st, and Golan in 22nd as early retirees. And Zamora, McKernan, Bennett, Garland, and Matson were not classified and will pick up 0 points for their efforts tonight.
Yeah, Garland, our final driver to take the start, would appear Pete Matson actually didn't take the start here tonight, or wasn't able to for reasons unknown to us here in the commentary box for tonight at least. But with the racing all said and done, it gives us a chance to now chat to a couple of our drivers. If there are any here awaiting, let's have a quick look to the booth and see that, no, we don't have anyone right now, so we'll hold station for a second. I think, Liam. But
what we could do is thank all of the sponsors that allow us to put on these wonderful broadcasts for our drivers.
That's a very smart idea indeed.
There's a first time for everything. I haven't been known to throw out the occasional smart idea.
Let me get that up there for you at the base.
There you go. We have got Waste Options, been sponsors for a long time now at the GSRC. Trophi.AI, who are the title sponsors for the Supercar series, which is coming up next. We then have Pantech, who are new sponsors coming in for this season. Sprayton Non-Alcoholic Cider, they've been around for a few seasons now. Merch at GSRC. This is a little bit of us putting our own medal on our necks, but do get out to the merch store because their hoodies are really quite warm in cold weather. I'm wearing one right now, in fact. And then we have Flash Graphics, who have sponsored the GSRC for as long as I have been a part of this wonderful club.
And that concludes our 2025 C sponsors. Yeah, so a quick look at the schedule, I think, seems appropriate here, Liam. So I'm going to just quickly update some stuff for us here on screen. This is where we sit in our 10 weeks of racing for this one. And, well, from the high speeds here at Pocono, but tempered by the corners, we're going to go to something even faster next week. Super Speedway, that is Talladega. If Daytona had a bigger, badder cousin, well, it actually does exist down there at Dega. And then, think about this. The way I see this schedule, we've got mostly 1.5 to 2.5 mile speedways, but I'm just even starting to think, looking ahead from here, Liam, to week 4 at the end of July. Iowa Speedway is going to be an interesting choice, I think, to say the least, for these Gen4 cars. Full power, short track, short gears. Who will have the ability to hang on to the tyres, I think, more than anything else?
Yeah, who's going to be able to keep their right foot on a really tight leash around that track is going to have quite the advantage, I imagine. And then we go to Indianapolis, one of the most iconic motorsport venues in the world, at round 5. And then, of course, Daytona for the finale on the 10th of September will be absolutely spectacular. So 2 months more of racing to bring you before we wrap the season up. And I'm sure there will be some twists and turns in the point standing before then. And there's going to need to be if we're going to have a battle, because Campbell is going to have quite the lead after only 2 rounds.
Yes, indeed. Let me see if the spreadsheet's been updated for us, folks. Suspect, unfortunately, it might not be the case because of the fact that Adam likes to drive on a Wednesday night, so that would probably.
And, he should, because he's a very handy peddler. He's a really good. I always think he's an ideal driver to aim at, because if you're beating Adam, you're one of the quickest, right? He's kind of no matter what he's in, he always sits in that same spot where he's usually not the quickest guy, but he's usually in that second pack. So if you beat him, you're doing very, very well for yourself.
Yeah. So with that, folk notes, I think we'll take a short break here in the comms box. Liam, get ourselves reset for the next race of the night, which, as you noted, will be the Trophi.AI Supercars Series for their second round of the season at Portland International Raceway. Stick with us here on the Gentlemen's Sim Racing Club's Facebook and YouTube channels tonight. We'll be back in a couple of minutes, and well, we'll at least get the feedback in a couple of minutes, I should say, with qualifying from Portland.
Hello everybody and welcome back to Wednesday Night Motorsport at the GSRC. It's our second offering of the night. It is the Trophi.AI Supercars Championship live from Portland International Raceway in the USA. And tonight we are sprint racing, ladies and gentlemen. So there'll be a 15-minute race followed by a reverse grid top 10 25-minute race with a single compulsory pit stop. Qualifying has just got underway and we're getting the first of our timed laps coming through. Rodney Gollan, currently the fastest of those who have set a lap time, and we have about 20 cars in the server split between our two divisions, I believe. And here are the track conditions. We have got a 29-degree track temperature with a 25-degree air temperature. I hope I've got that the right way around. And otherwise, the conditions are absolutely perfect here at Portland for these ridiculous vehicles that these drivers are going to have to somehow monster around. You're going to see a real display of driving prowess tonight. I'm sure you would agree, Daniel.
Yes, indeed. Well, almost halfway through qualifying, they've got 10 minutes to go and set 5 laps as they so wish, and here to see who will be on top. At this stage, it's Harry Lawrence. As you can see here, winding up for a bit of a high-speed run here, it seems. Now, obviously, yeah, don't forget, we had drivers last time out, and the elite dev split things obviously a little more sorted now in the form of only one new driver this week in form of Barry Kluver. Apparently it was the title of Ratbag Racing.
Someone who's yet to put in, I think fair to say, probably yet to put in a
representative time.
Yeah, his best is a 120.4, although he's just lowered that to a 19.5, so he's getting a little bit closer to the rest of the pack. Do respect the Australian livery. That is very loud and proud, with the gold at the front and the kangaroo turning into the Australian flag. It's Harry Lawrence who's currently the fastest. Quite a few big names missing tonight, so I assume we are clashing with some of the former V8 Championship.
You are indeed. The Legit G8 Pro Championship kicked off their next round at Road America earlier tonight. So actually, their green flag should have been about 10 minutes ago. So that's where a couple of our pointier drivers that have raced here in the GSRC are at this week. So the door is wide open here. Drivers like Harry Lawrence to continue to put on championship leading results here tonight. See here, Harry's on his 4th lap in qualifying. Liam, let's ride around the Portland International Raceway with the provisional pulse here at this time.
Yeah, and immediately you can get a sense for just how technical this open sequence of corners is. The long double apex right-hander turning into a left-hander that gently unfurls itself as you get around the corner. You start wind the lock off and put it on the accelerator, but you get too greedy, you'll signal yourself out wide, followed by the tight right-hander. A big moment there for Lawrence, but just about keeps it out of the wall, goes down the long back straight. And then hits a tricky chicane that is tighter than it first appears. Before you launch yourself onto the back straight, getting on that foul as long as you can, and making sure you do not become acquainted with the wall on your outside. And there you go, we've seen just about a full lap. We'll just see how the lap starts to finish it off. Heavy braking into very tricky complex. It's going to be one by one through there, one imagine. Going to be very brave to launch a move on the inside going into there.
Oy.
And that's for Lawrence, and that's going to suck him wide, but keeps the car out the wall.
It will be the end of his well, actually, he's just was on his 4th lap, so he could reset there. Go again. He's also got just enough time to do it, but he has to go right now. He wants to get one last lap in. Rodney Gollan on his 3rd lap in the session. And he's just being knocked back off of the front row is Craig Bond. puts himself up the top end of town here at this point in time. He's also starting his final lap of the qualifying session right here, right now.
And it really puts into perspective just how good that lap time is from Golan when he's third overall, and he is in the dev split. So he's in the lower of our two splits tonight and looking to start on what will be pole for that split. But you can see how tight the times are. All the way from pole down to 16th is what? Is it even a second? It's
13.8 on pole. So you have to get back to Dale Sharp as the first car outside a second of pole outright.
So really, really tightly bunched pack despite the prevalence of both splits being in here tonight. So we have what's promising to be a good race with very little distinction between the elites and opens, although sometimes we have seen the dev split able to better stick with the elites in qualifying. To hang on to their tyres better around a car that is a track that is going to munch the tyres, I believe.
New front runner there, or front row sitter, Ryan Moller in the final minute and change of qualifying. He's going to jump up and take away front row start from Craig Bond. He can't knock off Harry Lawrence, 700ths of a second away. Only a handful of drivers left on circuit, Adam Lavis here being one of them. As we said, likes to get out and race here on a Wednesday night. So he will feed into this final chicane and corner. What's he got for us here in the Aussie races? Mustang, no, abandons the run. Actually going to do a bit of pit lane practice, perhaps.
Always a good idea. We've seen multiple races won and lost in pit lane across all of our series at the GSRC. You'll be surprised how often even leading cars just get the pit entry wrong and completely ruin their race. You'll see Andrew Dyson. He's in a nice spot. We'll expect to see a bit more pace from him before
he won't have time, though.
Night is out, but he's got no time to improve his starting position, so he'll start from 9th, which isn't a bad place to start in the sprint format, as 10th place will turn in the first race will turn into pole for the feature.
Speaking of which, let's walk you through the grid once again here, folks, for this opening sprint race out of 2 coming up here tonight.
There we are. Harry Lawrence starts on pole position with Ryan Mulder alongside him. Craig Bond and Rodney Golan will line up alongside each other on the second row, with Adam Lavis and Nathan Michael occupying the third. Luke King is on the fourth row with Gary Foster, and then Andrew Dyson and Travis Azzopardi will be at the back of the top 10. The sixth row is Dale Sharp with Kevin Coleman. Then on the 7th is Greg Heaney and Mark McNamara. Eduardo Zamora lines up in 15th with Tony Rofi alongside him, with Eduardo Rollo in 17th and Barry Kluver, newcomer to the series, in 18th.
And that is our grid here for tonight, Liam. So let's have a look here and see how things perhaps changed since first race. I don't say I've seen a whole lot of change in the weather conditions. Yeah, it's looking fairly steady. No sign of rain on the horizon either, nor any water that's come down in between qualifying and the race. So with that said and done, we are just about ready to get set up for this race start.
Yeah, no one's going to be able to blame the conditions if they go flying off at the first corner. It's going to be all down to the driver as we wait for the last of our cars to grid so that we can get round 2 of the Trophi.AI Supercars Championship at Portland International Raceway underway for you on this Wednesday night. All the cars are on the grid. We have the lights. 3, 4, 5 lights, and the race begins now. And it's a great launch from Harry Lawrence, but it's horrible for Luke King, who just does not get away after the line has immediately dropped all the way down to 11th spot. Ryan Mulder and Rodney Godden also getting poor starts. Bond behind Lawrence, he's picked up a position. And Adam Lavis, a big mover, he's up 2 into 3rd. But Travis Azzopardi's had a lightning launch to get himself into 4th spot. They were going 3 wide in the background. Hopefully they make it through. As we see 2 cars side by side there, that is Gary Foster and Dale Sharp, but they're able to keep it clean, are they? Looks like they have done so. Yes, they have good racing for the two of them. Foster ahead of Sharp there in the Boost Mobile liveried Chevrolet Camaro. Behind them, it is Kevin Coleman and Luke King and Eduardo Zamora. At the front, Lawrence continues to lead away from Bond and Lavis with Azzopardi. With his start, they quickly shuffle down to single file through large portions of this track due to the complexity of the track and its fairly narrow nature. But they're going to want to get a move on because they're not going to have many laps to make their way forward. As we approach the end of lap 1, they're going to get about 10 to 12 laps in this race if they are lucky. And we get green flag conditions all of the way, and it's an absolutely blistering lap from Harry Lawrence to put himself over a second ahead of Craig Bond at the end of lap 1. Which is the Adam Laver struggling to get the car turned in there, and he goes for a spin. You can see the car looked really unsettled before he got on the brakes, just not able to scrub the speed off, tried to turn it in, but just carrying too much. Did really well to not turn that into a bigger accident, as did the drivers behind him to take avoiding action, but he has dropped all the way down to 8th from the lofty heights of 3rd place. And that promotes Travis Azzopardi into the podium positions for the first of our 2 races tonight. Andrew Dyson is in 7th place. Keep an eye out for him. We know he is quicker than that qualifying result would lead you to believe. He's often featured at the pointy end in the supercars across last season. Didn't always go his way, has propensity for finding a little bit of trouble. But when he can keep it clean, he's got absolutely excellent pace, and looked like Rodney Godden ahead of him got the last corner all wrong there, washed out wide. He's been able to stay on the track, but it has allowed Dyson to get the inside line. Going into the first corner, it'd be brave from Godden to try and stick it around the outside. No, he does not. Filters in behind him, I have to say. I think that is the correct move. And next on Andrew Dyson's hit list will be Nathan Michael, who resides in 5th place currently.
Yeah, watch out for Dyson to pick these drivers off, even if they are his elite class competitors. Bit by bit, we saw this last week as well from him after being off strategy on tyre choice with a damp start to the race, and carving his way back through as a result. And this time around though, no need to worry about tyres. Everyone seems to be on the right one to start off here, which is a dry, slick tyre. So it's purely a matter of positions and not losing time in the process.
Yep, no one's done a Toro Rosso in olden days F1 and decided to just randomly start on the intermediate tyres and then pit at the end of lap 1 because it was a terrible, terrible decision. Can't remember the driver. If you remember which driver it was, hit us in the comments and you will earn my respect. As we watch Andrew Dyson looking, has he got that inside line? No, he's not quite alongside. I'll be brave to try and do it on the brakes into turn 1, but he is brave. He does try to do it on the brakes into turn 1. Leads Nathan Michael, tries to hang on around the outside, but decides that discretion is the better form of valor. He's plenty of space for Andrew Dyson on the exit of turn 2 and just filters in behind him. Much more important that he defends from Ronnie Gollan. Despite that mishap on the final corner for Ronnie Gollan, he's still in the lead of the Dev split. And he's got Adam Lavis behind him, serving as a buffer to Gary Foster, who is second in the Dev split, and Dale Sharp in the 3rd. Great work there by Sal Daniel to get the graphics to show us their drivers' positions in the respective splits. So their confirmation of what I was saying, Gollan leading the Dev split with Foster in 2nd and Sharp in 3rd, and not big gaps between them, but there is a car between Gollan and Foster, and that car is Adam Lavis.
Sure is. Work up this backstretch once again, coming up to the 1/3 distance on time. So it gives you a clue that indeed 12 laps looks to be on the offer for this race. Maybe we squeak in a 13th, depending on exactly where our leader is going to be, which at this stage is still Harry Lawrence. Off the final turn they come.
And he's got incredible pace out front. He's built that lead up to 2.3 seconds. So Craig Bond just does not have the pace to challenge him, but he won't mind that. Craig Bond was in the Dev split at the start of last year. Sorry, at the start of this year. Start of last season, I mean. And he's got promoted to the Elite split and is now currently running 2nd in the Elite split, which just shows his rise through the ranks of the GSRC Supercars Championship. Of course, aided by some big names being out tonight, but he won't care about that. 1 iota a point, and a podium is a podium. You can only beat the competition that is put in front of you. And for Adam Lavis, that competition is very much in the form of Ryan Gollan. But he's not looked too close to it. It's not like he's been making shadow moves left, right, and centre. He just can't quite get close enough to even think about launching a move up Gollan's inside, because Gollan has got really good pace here tonight.
Yeah. I mean, whether it's a case of Adam not really gelling with the combo, maybe didn't do a lot of practice this week. Yeah, just looking like he's going to have to settle for 8th outright and 7th of our 8 drivers here in the Elite Split tonight. The only driver behind him in Elite Split is Kevin Coleman here in the 568 machine, who's got himself some close company in the form of Luke King and Eduardo Zamora as, oh, Trouble Fidel Sharp up the road.
Oh, that's suboptimal for him. He's, that's not where you want to be in your Bailey Ladders entry. We'll have to see what's happened there. Has he lost it by himself, or did he get a helping hand? I believe. Well, if it's not by himself, then it's one hell of a manoeuvre. So, yeah, just got it wrong into turn 1. Back end could not live with what he was trying to do. Loops it round. Thankfully, he's off the racing line. It's just to find a safe spot to filter back in. And not the first car to make a mistake tonight. Of course, we did see Adam Lavis making that mistake earlier on from the podium positions, which is why he's down in what will be 9th place, I believe, right now. We'll just watch what happens to Barry Kluver here. Struggling for a bit of pace. He's just not quite getting it right in turn 1. But now to the battle for 4th place. This is Ryan Mulder trying to defend from Andrew Dyson. It's a risky business racing, currently sat in 3rd, 4th. They'll be dead chuffed with that. So they're one of the few teams able to mix it up with some of the Orbit drop by Motorsport guys last season. Some really good races involving them. So hopefully get a few more of those a bit later in the season. But right now, they're going to defend from Andrew Dyson. For NPR, I believe. He's got a good run out there. It's just not the part of the circuit to be making an overtaking manoeuvre. If he can get a good run onto the straight, maybe he can launch a manoeuvre down the inside of Kane. Oh, it's going to be damn dear on the brakes if he's going to make it. No, he tucks him behind. Can he get a better run onto the start-finish straight? Didn't look like he was going to, but then there's a little bit of a wiggle there from Mulder as he tried to get the throttle down. There's the car straightened up. Dude, maybe just invite Dyson a little bit. It was just not enough of an overspeed for Dyson to make the move to turn 1, and Mulder and as a body just too strong on the brakes. And I think it is made more complex because Dyson can't go for a big outbraking move, because if he does, he potentially risks clearing up as a party. It's a thing we've seen quite a lot, right? You're behind 2 cars in close proximity, you go for 1 overtake and you just nick the car ahead. So I think that is going to complicate matters for Andrew Dyson. But these guys, that is Barry Kluver trying to stay out the way as he gets overlapped. Doesn't do a perfect job, but does a reasonable job, which is what we like to see. Certainly gave the leaders plenty of respect there. And now it's opportunity to whisking your business cars. Dyson trying to go around the outside, I give the inside for the second part of the chicane. It's a brave manoeuvre, doesn't quite pull it off. And as a party hangs on by the skin of his teeth.
Bit of an exchange there between himself and teammate Ryan Mulder, and then the process of Dyson trying to take advantage, seems, has almost well, it was looking a little wild there for a moment, but they've worked out okay. Just a bit of margin now between Azzopardi and Mulder, which should certainly be favourable. Meanwhile, up towards the front of the field, it's been apparently smooth sailing to date for Harry Lawrence. 2/3 of the race now down on time. Here is his starting lap 9. You know, what we expect to be 12, maybe 13, 4 seconds back to Craig Bond, who in turn has 4 seconds back to Ryan Mulder, and then this trio of drivers here fighting over what will be the final spot at the podium outright and for the elite split here in race 1 tonight. The Dev battle, we should need to keep our eyes on, actually has changed hands. New Dev class leader here in Gary Foster at a Rodney Golden, which happened on lap 7, like this. Oh, of course, because... Oh! No, I don't think we saw this one.
I don't think we saw that, and that was very close to Am Lavis. So was there a bit of shenanigans there? Or did Golden lose it by himself?
That's... Oh!
Bad
downshift. And the rear...
He's done quite well to hold on to that, and almost make the corner.
The rear end of the car just ends up being a power sliding simulator. And that was the end of that class lead for now. He's still there, though.
He's still there, and while we were watching there, Andrew Dyson and Azzopardi have swapped positions a few times, and that's because they are side by side on the racetrack. Dyson just nudges ahead of Azzopardi. Azzopardi desperate to try and get some sort of up and under there, but there just wasn't the space to do it. Oh, looks like he locked the rears a little bit there. Just managed to get the car stopped. He was definitely looking to be aggressive and see if he can make a move with Dyson. That car is not behaving, is it? The back end just wants to kick him like some sort of rabid donkey, but he's managed to keep fighting it, wrestle it into submission and keep it on the track. No animals were harmed in the making of this commentary. And there is Nathan Michael trying to hold off the advancing Adam Lavis. Rear end steps out midway through the corner. Those rear tyres are really struggling with the cars. You can just see it in the behaviour that these drivers are having to absolutely monster them just to get them to the checkered flag. And I think Adam Lavis would definitely fancy this position before the end of this lap if he doesn't run into the back. Oh! Did he keep on track then? He did. Just saw the car twitching all over the place. Tell you what, you're not going to want to stray too far from the optimal pit strategy for the next race, because I do believe there'll be at least 1 or 2 drivers that will see some fresh rears halfway through that one. Of course, got a 25-minute race coming up. We're only 13 minutes into this one, and you can see quite clearly how much the drivers are struggling on throttle and on the brakes in these vehicles.
Yeah, if you're not careful, this car will bite and eat up its tyres in short order. So, minute and 17 or so to go. And the leader has just started lap 12, so we will get ourselves 1 extra lap here as Dyson rolls out of it into turn 1. Not going to fight on this particular occasion. Mulder, though, is at the limits of what his car can do, it seems, on the brakes. As it is pointed out to me, we need to keep an eye on the battle for the Dev class lead as well. Rodney Golden is yet to get past Gary Foster at this stage. So this is coming down to the final lap as well.
Yeah, I think Mitch Wood might have rioted had you not cut to this.
Yeah, we also got Mark McNamara and Greg Heaney having a scrap for the final spot in the top 5 of class, and Dale Sharp's there as well. So a couple of battles of war, and Dyson is the closest he's been yet. Looks to the inside once we get down the end of the back stretch. Can he get there? He's looking, there's no defense, and he backs out again. He's not hungry for it right away.
It's so hard to make them move on the inside there, hold it through the second part of the chicane, and also leave enough room for the other car. So I think that was probably the smart decision there as we go into the final lap of the race for Harry Lawrence. And he's just been absolutely sublime this race. No one has been able to touch him. It's going to be really interesting to see what he can do from 10th. In the next race, the smart money would be on him making it a double victory here tonight, but things happen in the feature race when we put in the sprint format that cannot always be explained. The question now is, can Ryan Mulder hold on against Dyson, and can Foster hold on against Golan for the Dev victory? We're going to stay with this battle for now. Dyson's been very, very racy. He's made some really good overtakes. That overtake on Azzopardi, or what we saw of it, was sublime. Can he repeat it on Azzopardi's risky business teammate?
He's not close enough. He's going to need a mistake from Ryan Mulder to be able to get into this fight here, but round the final turn, eyes need to go to Harry Lawrence, as he will comfortably come across the line and take the checkered flag ahead of Craig Bond, and then we get to see the battle for the podium. Actually, an incredible run off the final couple of turns. Dyson's looking for it to the line. He can't make it though. Mulder will hang on by the skin of his teeth.
And it's incredibly close between Foster and Golan. I believe that is them in the background.
Here it is, yep.
Foster's going to hold on to take a brilliant Dev class victory ahead of Golan, and Luke King in third, really close in the end as well. And they're free wide in the background. That's a car in the wall. That's not where you want to be. He's not going to gain a position like that. And Mark McNamara just holds on from Greg Heaney and Dale Sharp. I believe it was Sharp just touching the wall.
Last couple of drivers coming to the line now. Tony Roffey and Edward Rollo. And it will be Barry Kluver, the last car to take the checkered flag here in race number 1. 13 laps complete by your drivers leading the field there in that race. Let's have a look at the race results here for our 2 classes tonight.
And a quick word for Kluver there. He just did an 18.6 on his last lap, and his best lap in qualifying was a 19.6. So he's found a second in pace through the course of that race. And an 18.6 gets him within touching distance of some of the cars in the Dev split. So hopefully he'll be able to stick with the pack in the next race. He's gaining enough pace that he might have a fighting chance.
Let's get you the results here in a second. There we are.
Confirmation, Lawrence taking a dominant victory in the elite split, with Bond in second, and Mulder taking the final space on the podium after putting up a stout defense against Andrew Dyson. Azzopardi finishes in 5th, with Nathan Michael in 6th, Lavis in 7th, and Coleman in 8th. And I believe that the top 7, that is how they finished on the track. But I believe Coleman was not in 8th place overall.
That is correct. Yes, indeed.
These are your Dev split results. Gary Foster takes a very close fought victory over Rodney Golan. Rodney Golan will be kicking himself for that unforced error, but he's shown brilliant pace, and he knows he's in with a chance of taking the Dev split victory in the feature race coming up next. Luke King rounds out the podium. Then we have Eduardo Zamora in 4th, McNamara, Keeney in 6th, Sharp in 7th, Roffey in 8th, Rollo in 9th, and Bradbury was not classified. And then Barry Kluver was last and yet to be put into a split, but I think safe to say he will be in the Dev split.
And yeah, that was that there. Now, if you quickly want to see it all together, throw in the overalls, and also I'll add in Barry Kluver for us there. So as you can see, the top 7 outright were your 7 out of 8 elite split drivers in attendance tonight. And Gary Foster to Dale Sharp, that is 7. It's 2 sets of 7. Of course it is. For elite and Dev class competitors. Yeah, Tony Roffey, Ed Rollo, the only 2 there in Dev. Off of the battle pack that was brewing there towards the end of the race. And just like that, timer hits 0 in the warm-up. And it is time to go to the grid for race number 2.
Yeah, the cars are lining up, and here's confirmation of the starting order for our 25-minute feature race with 1 compulsory pit stop. It is Luke King on pole position with Rodney Golan alongside him, and Gary Foster in 3rd, making it in Dev split 1, 2, 3, and separating themselves from the rest of the Dev pack. Adam Lavis starts in 4th place. He'll fancy his chances from there. Nathan Michael is in 5th with Azzopardi in 6th. We've seen the pace that the Whiskey Business Racing boys have got, so that'll be interesting with Andrew Dyson in 7th, Ryan Mulder in 8th, Craig Bond in 9th, and Harry Lawrence, runaway victor in the first race, having a lot of work to do from 10th place. Then we have Zamora and McNamara on the 6th row, Keeney and Sharp Coleman and Rofi on the 8th, with Rollo and Kluver at the back of the field.
Yep, that is indeed going to be it for this one, folks. As you said, 25 minutes. And one compulsory stop. Time to see who can make it work here as we get ready for the green flag from Barney on the right side of the screen. Oh, big donuts for Luke King. He's going to absolutely eat the start. Rodney Golan going to lead us down towards turn 1.
Yeah, it's a good start for Lavis as well. Not able to capitalise, turn it into second place, but has turned it into third. And that's a really ambitious move there from Sharp down the inside of Zamora. That does not come off, but they managed to make it through, which is more than I thought was going to happen. First cut to that shot. Can he make it around the outside here? No, not going to work out for him. So Rodney Golan will lead this one away, as he did for much of the dev split last time out, but this time he's leading the entirety of the race lead split, included with Gary Foster backing him up in second place. But as you said, it's been a terrible start for Luke King, already down in 9th, and he's lost almost in of that buffer that he had to the rest of the dev split. He's got one car between them, and that car is Harry Lawrence. I do not think Harry is going to sit behind Luke King for very long in this race at all. But if there's one thing that can unstick the faster drivers in this format, it's when they get impatient trying to make their way through the slower cars at the start of the race, because sometimes they can get a bit arrogant, maybe think that they shouldn't be battling too hard because they think it's smarter for the other car. And to be fair, often it is smarter for the other car not to battle them too hard, but it doesn't mean they can just vanish it out of the way. But Harry Lawrence doing a really good job there, not being too aggressive on Luke King, and I think that'll stand him in good stead as he makes his way forward. Here we've got Adam Lavis. He's really on the defensive from Azzopardi, who we saw had mega pace in the first race. Ambitious to go down the inside there. And I don't think he's gone down there initially to make the move, but you just see it really unsettled up Lavis. Got squirrely on the brakes as he tried to leave a bit of room, and that has allowed Azzopardi to just hang there on the inside for that long right-hander. Ideally try and give himself the ideal line through there, but not able to do so. And Adam Lavis just hangs on like a rock climber, desperately trying to hold on with their fingernails before they plummet to their death. Or hopefully not, because hopefully they've done things correctly and they've got a safety rope. Anyway, we've got Nathan Michael here now, the next car behind Azzopardi, not pushing pressure on his teammate right now, but feeding off the pressure from Andrew Dyson, who is in a whiskey business club sandwich. Some sort of weird sandwich with 3 pieces of bread and only 1 filling. My goodness, actually. Anyway, Andrew Dyson is going to be sick at the back of whiskey business racing cars before the end of this one. But the good news for him is he's got a lot longer to try and get past in this race.
Yeah, a lot longer. 10 extra minutes, which I suppose, in the grand scheme of things, that is a 67, 66 recurring percentage gain, time-wise. I guess he's also got the pit stop he can work with too, so he maybe... I was thinking here, because he's not really charged forward. If we're looking at perhaps maybe a bit of fuel saving from Mr. Dyson to try and... yeah, because that is the race lead, just there. And it is still held down by... Oh, pardon me, no, apologies. I thought that was the race lead. No, Rodney Golan's making up for losing the Dev Class win in race 1 and broke into a 3-second lead over Gary Foster, who is holding up the elite train. It's actually also somewhat surprising that our elite drivers here, they're not really looking to push. I mean, I get it on one hand, they're not racing the Dev guys at all, but they're not looking, well, okay. I start on this line of commentary and statements, and Adam Lavis immediately proceeds to prove me wrong by not only flashing the headlights into turn 1 as in his signal of intent, he'll then make the pass stick into turn 1. But I was just going to go on about how all these elite drivers are letting Golan, not so much, but Gary here in particular, just happily stay at the front of the field rather than push on by and reassert the class order as it normally is.
Yeah, I wonder if there had been some... Yeah, I wonder if there had been some sort of defence from Gary Foster earlier in the lap that Adam Lavis was unhappy with, or whether the lights was just pure gamesmanship. Because because it's just I don't know, it seems a little bit out of character for Lavis to be flashing lights and doing that to try and distract, unless he's been annoyed by something earlier. So would not surprise me if there's more to that story, particularly because it was quite a big move down the inside of the turn 1 in the end, which yeah, just strikes me as a little odd from Lavis. But what it doesn't mean now is that Adam Lavis, who does have more pace than he was able to show in the sprint race because of that mistake, is free. The likes of Azzopardi, Michael Dyson, their timeline for getting past Foster has just moved up a heap, because they cannot allow Lavis to break away, because if he breaks away and chases down Golan, he is going to be very hard to catch. Golan with that 4-second lead, he's doing a fantastic job, do not get me wrong, but the elite guys will fancy that they can put it down. If Adam Lavis picks up a 4-second lead, that's quite a different proposition for these guys. Particularly with there being a bit of strategy in play with the fuel in this race, and we know Adam Lavis is very, very good on strategy and not opposed to running a very quick fuel-saving race. We just cut back here to Dale Sharp. He's got Kevin Coleman ahead of him. He's detached from the rest of the elite boys, having a little bit of a tough round as Coleman. You'll hope to rectify that a bit in this race, but to do so he's going to have to get past Zamora, McNamara and Luke King, who are the dev cars between him and the rest of the elite split. And this is, and just there we just saw Greg Heaney shaping up for a move on Dale Sharp, was not able to complete it.
A lot of patience here, it seems, for the most part. Off-screen, Eduardo Zamora makes it his way past Mark Mara. So I'm just going to tune in here to Harry Lawrence as your winner of race 1. Comfy margin, but they're all stacked up behind each other. Now, I kind of get it. This track is deceptive. With these cars, there's not a ton of overtaking spots. Turn 1, obviously, but realistically, you've got to set it up all the way through here. Maybe here at turn, I think this is 5. You could try something, but you've then also got your second slowest corner here in turn 6. So you could possibly make a move, but you're also risk compromising the run in the backstretch. And the final part of the circuit, you've got to have a move done very early into the final couple of corners, because you can't really be bombing in late, given how narrow the track is. In fact, here Andrew Dyson got close, and he just rolls out again. He's going to let Nathan Michael have that one for now, and then use speed to catch up in the middle and prop for the final turn and the run to turn 1.
A bit of a twitch there from Nathan Michael. That might just be enough for Dyson to be invited up the inside. He's there, but will he stick with it into turn 1? Is he good enough on the brakes to outbrake Nathan Michael? He's going to get the move done as long as they get through there cleanly. Yeah, and Nathan Michael just filters in behind those. There's no point finding that one too hard. Although it has made things awkward for his teammate Ryan Mulder behind him, who was doing battle with Harry Lawrence, and two of them together came up on the slow-moving Nathan Michael, who compromised himself into T2. And that all resolves with Mulder Michael still ahead of Mulder and ahead of Lawrence. But I think the problem for Lawrence, you said about his taking his very. It's not just that. Look at the guys he's got ahead of him: Mulder, Michael, Dyson, Azzopardi. These are all really quick guys that showed good pace last race. Okay, none of them as fast as Lawrence, but they're not slouches either. It's not like he's got just a bunch of the slower back of the grid dev guys in front of him. It's not a full reverse grid. The top 10 was full of very fast drivers, so it's going to make it more difficult. I do wonder if there'll be a bit of a trying to do something on fuel, to save a bit of fuel, have a slower stop. I wonder if one will pull the trigger early to get running in clean air, because there's definitely more pace in this track than what the field is running at the moment.
Well, it has warmed up significantly since the previous race, so there is that consideration to make. Also, a little update on what's been happening here towards the front. Adam Lavis, he is catching Rodney Golan, don't get me wrong, but he's not breaking away from Gary Foster, and therefore not from Azzopardi or Dyson. So the urgency and the probable need to really get past Gary Foster here tonight hasn't been realised. for Azzopardi, Dyson. Nathan Michael was dropping back now with all of that exchanging, and there was a Ryan Mulder.
Also shows just how
Dyson.
Oh, that's Dyson off track. Pulls it back on. Oh, well, that was a bit spectacular, but he's, you want to know it, looking at how he's just taking that corner absolutely beautifully. Let's see what happened here. He's going to almost hit him, isn't he?
I think he's just learned when you go full throttle here at Portland in this car, you can't really go out around somebody. That's what that looks like to me, at least. He's tried to keep it pinned around the outside of the backstretch, but it turns just enough that that's not really an option unless you set yourself up from a wider entry. And he's asked too much of the front tyres.
And Rodney Gollan has pitted from the lead.
Well, that's a little early, perhaps, but okay.
So perhaps he's felt like his tyres are a bit gone?
Well...
They're bolting away at the front at the start? Because the entire pack was catching him.
Right? My only concern is you come in here, you're gonna be disadvantaged on tyres at the end of the race. Generally, will favour the open, especially at a track here where overtaking appears to be such a difficult thing. Oh, there's been a bit of a negotiation there, and Dyson is given third place without too much hassle from Azzopardi. But at a track like this where we're seeing limited overtaking, I would be going as long as you can. But no, Azzopardi and Mulder and Lawrence are all going to respond to Rodney Gollan's pit stop with one of their own.
Yeah, interesting decision here. They must feel like they've got more pace than they've been able to run so far. It's the only way you can make the strategy work. Like I said, generally, cars that go longer are favoured. Lavis just building a bit of gap to Gary Foster. We mentioned before how he wasn't really breaking away, but like it's just increased by 3/4 of a second on the last lap. And now Foster's got Dyson for company. So I believe we've been in a bit of a holding pattern until now, and we saw first of all it was Gollan deciding to twist. Now some bunch of other drivers deciding to show their hands, to twist and take a pit stop to try and unleash a bit of extra pace. This race is coming alive here, and it is certainly alive as we watch from the rearview mirror of Adam Lavis, because Andrew Dyson has just stormed around the outside of Gary Foster into the chicane to launch himself into second place. Now there's only one car ahead of him on track, but might be multiple cars ahead of him in the virtual battle. And Rodney Gollan has been jumped by Harry Lawrence and Travis Azzopardi, and Harry Lawrence got out ahead of Azzopardi and Ryan Mulder. So that is absolutely crucial for this race. Harry made 3 positions in the pit stop phase so far with a slightly faster pit stop, 10.7 seconds compared to 11.5 for Travis Azzopardi, 12.6 for Ryan Mulder, and crucially 16 seconds for Rodney Gollan, which is what has cost him positions. And I wonder if the drivers clocked onto that and realised that they could pit and jump the driver that was effectively the leader of this race in the first.
That's a big blunder from from Rodney Gollan. That's not quite Tony Roffi I was looking for. I was looking for Nathan Michael's blend in, because he's come out just in front of Harry Lawrence, who's going to have maybe a couple of corners here where he's got tyre temperature, and Nathan Michael will be looking for it as into turn 3. Outside is the only option for your race 1 winner. On the curb. Bit of counter contact as they come back to the left-hander at turn 6. Lawrence gets through, but will that be called in? Was there something there or not?
That was beautiful if that was clean. Couldn't quite tell from the camera whether there was a little bit of contact there or not. But the opening salvos of that were absolutely magnificent at the very least.
Where is me chopper cam? I think that's okay. I think there was an issue there.
Yeah, he has a bit of a wobble, but I don't think he could have been much tighter.
No, actually, let me rather than a chopper cam shot, let me try onboard on the roof of Harry Lawrence. That will probably give us the... Yeah, there's a gap. That's actually a little unfortunate for Nathan Michael there. Through no fault of his or Lawrence's. That was a bit of a netcode tap there, if I'd suggest.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's a bang-on assessment of what's happened there. Oh, that's not a netcode tap. That is a right foot issue. Oh, he's just saved it and kept it on the track, but he's lost out to both of his teammates and to Rodney Gollan in the Riot Racing car. But I think he'll just be thankful that he's got a race car in order because that could be nasty. And it spat him out harder into the wall. But instead managed to collect it and lose nothing but time and perhaps a little bit of pride. Craig Bond and McNamara now pit in. Adam Lavis also has pitted in. Has he? I can't find him on my title screen.
Has indeed. He's the leader of those who have pitted. Harry Lawrence is now potentially second on the road with the fastest lap of the race to boot. Now in the mid 113.9. Sorry, he's just crossed under the 114 barrier. Andrew Dyson, your only driver to press on, but I get the feeling this is about the end of the fuel range. We're in the final. We're 3/5 of the way through this race as Dyson's in the grass. This is going to give up a ton of time now as he tries to gather this one up and get it back towards pit. No, not pit entry. He's going to proceed to power on down, but that's just going to lose him a good old 3-4 seconds. Let's see for this lap time. He did a 14.6 last time, and it's updated to, yep, an 18.0. So indeed, nearly 4 whole seconds. He's just given up by having that moment there in the last couple of turns.
And it's 4 seconds, but how many positions is that when he pits? That could translate to 3 or 4 positions, perhaps even more, given how close that battle pack is behind Rodney Gollan. So if he filters out in that battle pack at all, he may just have... Go ahead.
Yeah, unless his stop is really short, I reckon he does filter out right around Rodney Gollan.
That could be absolutely crucial. Seems like he's making a play to have fresher tyres and maybe go for an attack at the end. If he's just put 3 or 4 more extra cars between himself and where he wants to be at the end, he's made his job a lot harder, particularly with only 1 good overtaking spot per lap. So this is Rodney Gollan defending from Craig Bond. Rodney Gollan's still leading the dev split, and he'll be really quite chuffed with that. Gary Foster second in the dev split.
But you have to say, I'm a little surprised by it, because again, you can see here, Gary's pit stop is right on the money, 11 seconds, and he wasn't 5 seconds behind, I don't think, unless with the way that he sort of chilled out towards his pit stop there, that it's negated the time loss of Gollan.
But we have also seen cars
Unless
that are quick immediately. There is definitely a lot of deg, and they come out and they are quicker than the cars that haven't pitted. And Gollan pitted really early, so could be a bit of that as well.
Yeah, there's the benefit to taking his tyres, 100%. That's not to be missed in all of this. Yeah, just... I mean, he was only 4 seconds faster through the pit lane versus the 5 odd seconds faster in the pit box. So maybe a bit of stuff there to worry about numbers wise. But this is the battle on track. It is for 5th outright as Rodney Gollan has to decide now, do I race to defend an outright position? Craig Bond's having none of that. He'll take the apex here onto the backstretch.
Yeah, I wouldn't defend too hard. Personally, if I was going, particularly not against Craig Bond. Craig Bond can be quite an aggressive driver. Spectacular to watch, particularly from a broadcast perspective, but sometimes does get involved in an incident when he just crosses the line. But respect for that. Rodney Gollan getting it all wrong, cutting the corner. And Craig Bond, I feel like he should be given that position.
Yeah, well, Rodney's going to have to back off. Slow down still needs to be cleared. He's not going to be able to do that if he goes full tilt into turn 1 because he will lose the time. Yeah, but... Oh, chops across. Takes the normal entry. Still hasn't cleared it.
Well, unless it's doing that thing where it's not quite calibrated right and...
He cleared it just then.
You clear it in the corners just because you're a bit slower in the corners than it reckons anyway.
I've also just realised something. Apologies here. As you can see, my overlays here tonight say that Rodney is in the dev split, but looking at his in-session name, you might be able to see it here on the windscreen. Not really. Actually, I'll just go on board with him to make my point.
Craig Bond's just got through.
Yeah, indeed, as Bondi gets through. That is ELT in front of Rodney's name for Elite. So that would explain a little bit more about why he's fighting with Craig. It also means that he was never fighting Gary Foster for the class win in race number 1. So apologies there, folks. Got a bit of a misclass driver. I can try and fix that, but I think if I do, it also causes the entire system to freak out. And shut down on me!
He's thrown himself at the wall. He's thrown himself at the wall. Rear's locked. Ryan Foster almost collects him. Rear's locked as he broke for turn 1 and just absolutely spat him right.
Oh, hello.
He's got quite significant damage there as well. And this is Andrew Dyson. Has pitted and come out ahead. So he's done a really short pit stop.
By not taking tyres. I can guarantee you he has not taken tyres on a 7-second stop, whereas everyone else did.
He made up the 3 or 4 seconds that he lost with that big move.
So, I said he would come out around Rodney gone. Well, that's obviously a bit hard now with Rodney dropping back. Well, he gains back nearly 4 seconds. He gains back 3 seconds in the pit lane. Over 4 seconds transiting the lane. It actually washes out when you lose the 4 seconds on the track having a moment. So that's how that's all ended up there, is inside of the final 5 minutes. Question is now, what has Lavis got left to fight with? He should have a tyre advantage.
It certainly seems that way just from the few moments we have seen. But can he turn that into positional gain? Because it is very hard to pass around here. So Andrew Dyson's just got really, 2 corners that he needs to focus on. He needs to focus on getting the exit onto the back straight and getting the exit onto, out of this right-hander, onto the back straight. Just to stave off a move into the chicane. But Andrew Dyson looking good for the victory here with only 2.5 minutes to go. He's only got a hold off for a couple of laps. We've got Adam Lavis in second and Harry Lawrence, who I don't think there's any doubt that he's been the fastest man around the circuit tonight. He's currently in third, just recovering from starting in 10th place thanks to the format. Might just prove to be a little bit too difficult for Harry. But there's, like I said, there's plenty of time here. There's
2 laps to go.
There's not much time.
Yep.
And Andrew Dyson's very wily wheel to wheel.
Yeah, he's got the position to defend it from. So even though these drivers behind have tyres with which they can afford to use, they've been on those tyres now. In Lawrence's case, he's on his 11th lap of his stint. In Lavis's case, he's coming up. He's on lap 9 of his stint. So they're past their prime. It's just whether a case if they got anything left. And by the looks of things, the answer is going to be no. It's going to be with Lawrence and Lavis to fight for the second spot on the podium tonight.
Certainly seems that way, barring some sort of mistake from Dyson. And oh, that's a mistake from Lawrence. That was very close to disaster. And that's the first mistake we have seen from Lawrence all night. As he tries to turn the screws on Adam Lavis. Instead, he injures his wrists trying to do so. And Andrew Dyson, at the moment, looks like he's going to be quite comfortable. Takes some white flags, so this will be the final lap of the race. He's got over a second on Adam Lavis as he starts the lap. And I think that's going to be too much for Levis to get without some sort of mistake. So Dyson's played this one absolutely perfect tactically. He's shown fantastic pace, fantastic ability to keep the tyres underneath him. And he's just put in a 14.5 on old tyres, which was he was the fastest man on track last time out.
The only issue could be fuel, but I get the feeling Dyson's not going to put himself in that position. Greg Heaney, 4th in Dev at the moment. Now, actually, we have been able to adjust Rodney Golan's class mid-broadcast here. He's going to have to lose out on, well, his track position with Kevin Coleman, not really class position, anything of the sort. He's now got Eduardo Zamora for company. We'll check in on that later on, folks, but coming into the back stretch here, 10 and 11. There's 12 corners apparently around this Portland International Raceway circuit, and Andrew Dyson has conquered them all for 25 laps. He just has to put the hammer down here, and a bit of an exhibitional flick there off of the corner exit, but it will be Andrew Dyson's turn to take the checkered flag first here tonight. And the top 3 across the line is Lavis and Lawrence rounded out. Nathan Michael, Craig Bond, gonna finish off the field there. And then your winning driver here in V8 Dev, well, actually, it could be Luke King if his connection is held, but he's dropping down the order. He might not be classified here if his connection doesn't recover.
That would be so cruel if he has lost that victory because of a connection issue. I think he has, you know. It's
not looking good. It's holding, but it's in a pretty negative state. But no, it's rebounding now. Oh, but will it give it to him? Or will it say, tough luck, you didn't... You blinked out at the worst possible time?
Well, I think regardless of what the server says, he'll know where he finished in his head, and I think that is much more important.
That would be something there, and it looks like Eduardo Rolo, yep, going to be our last one across the line. So result should be official here from iRacing now, so I'll bring up our class results here for the feature race. See where it's put. Luke King is that there, says he's down in 8th.
That is absolutely brutal. So here's a confirmation of the... Oh.
Hello.
Confirmation of the finishing order in the elite splits. Andrew Dyson takes a stunning victory for DPR Racing, with Adam Lavis in 2nd and Harry Lawrence not able to go back-to-back, but does make it back-to-back podiums, a 1st and then a 3rd in this sprint format. Nathan Michael finishes in 4th, with Craig Bond behind him in 5th. Ryan Mulder in 6th, Azzopardi in 7th, then Golan in 8th, and Kevin Coleman in 9th.
And now for the dev results. He has been classed, so his connection has hung on just enough, it seems. Luke King will be scored the dev class winner here tonight.
As he should be. Gary Foster follows him home by 6/10 of a second into 2nd place to make it a 1-2 for him, a 1st and a 2nd. Then Dale Sharp in 3rd, Zamora in 4th, Mickenmara in 5th, Heaney in 6th, Rofi in 7th, Rollo in 8th, and Bradbury, unclassified, did not take the start of the race.
And of course, throw them all together to show you how it all finished up in the overall. As you can see here, top 7 once again, all elite drivers. Then your top 2 there in Dev, Rodney Golan with that mid-race reclassification we've had to do for him. Round out the top 10 outright there tonight, and splitting the Dev podium with Dale Sharp behind him for 11th outright. Kevin Coleman, your last elite driver there, comes classified in 12th. And then some more through to Rollo for your remaining Dev drivers, and Barry Kluber a lap down as our one driver to be confirmed. And yeah, indeed, Brett Bradbury not taking to the start here tonight.
Not at all, and we've already got the first of our drivers rolling off the track and into the commentary booth to come and have a word with us. We'll start with Craig Bond, although Greg Heaney did make his way into the chat first. Craig Bond was actually patiently waiting in the green room, whereas Heaney is a committee member, so he can hop straight in. So we'll go and have a chat with yourself, Craig. Just talk us through the key points of your race. If you're there, Craig.
Well, I'm here.
All right,
how you going, boys?
Well, talk to Greg. How you going, buddy?
Oh, yeah. I was better in the first race. I kind of balked the second one, but no, look, yes, it was I'm not sure why diminished field, maybe track selection, I don't know. But all in all, good racing. I'm hoping some of the little spot fires and stuff that I was in were on camera at some point. At least my monumental save at the end of the start of the first lap, and then last lap, I should say, and then you've no doubt caught what happened at the end of the last lap, which saw me drop 2 positions. If not, I'm sure Dan's probably madly looking for it right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm not actually entirely sure we did, but I do have the goldfish, so don't quote me on
I was fully sideways, locked up on the picks into turn 1 last lap, and then I think I completely roasted. Yeah, I was completely roasted the tyres on that, and then trying to regather it or at least get it stopped. I might have been just past my brake marker on the fast section of the back straight up to the last braking zone or second last braking zone, and completely butchered it. I was then a passenger the minute the car hit the grass, and unfortunately, Eduardo and Mark got caught up by me skating across the road. No harm done for their positions, but only really my own and my own ego, I think.
Well, that's how I like it when you make an error. Yes, we did see that on the broadcast, and it was quite spectacular, and I'm very happy that nobody else got caught up in it. I do want to ask you a question about the tyres and how they hung on, because we definitely saw what looked like the cars getting twitchier throughout the race. Was that your wheel?
Oh, very much so. These things, I mean, even at the best of times, even on fresh tyres, these things are as twitchy as anything. But no, I think it was towards the end of race 1, it was trying to get the power down coming out of the last corner without putting the thing around. Was interesting. But then, yeah, definitely race 2, if you at any point got too much of a slide on or got just that little bit of wiggle, you'd absolutely roast the tyres, and then you were pretty much on struggle street for the next lap or two, and trying not to put too much through them was interesting, to not overheat them too much, but even trying to bring them back down was hard enough.
Yeah, I can imagine, particularly with how important, particularly that final corner is to get off quick. We saw so many cars just booting up the throttle off that final corner and chucking in a bit of a slide and like I said, giving themselves a harder task for the remainder of the lap. Was that a particular problem point for you as well?
I had it a couple of times, but through practice and whatnot, I realised that obviously not putting too much steering lock into the car coming out of the last corner, and because you've got the full width of a drag strip, thankfully, which Eduardo found out in front of me because I think he actually managed to keep it off the fence. You've got a lot of runoff that you can use up and not put too much lock on the car to get it out of the last corner and still give it a fair boot worth of power. But it's definitely a track I think that suits the supercar more for the sprint style races like we had tonight. I'm not sure how you'd go around here on one of our 40s or an hour race around here. It would certainly test you at the best of times, that's for sure.
Certainly, I think the wear and difficulties we saw keeping in the tyres would make for an interesting strategic variations with a longer race. But yeah, I think I'm quite happy that we had the sprint round here tonight. Daniel, you got any questions for Greg before we let him go?
Let me think about this here real quick, but nothing comes to mind apart from perhaps maybe switching our attention to what's coming up from this season, apart from, I guess, really, actually, no, there's one thing from tonight. I don't think I've heard you ask, Liam. If you have asked it, I'm very sorry. I've sort of been getting other things ready to wrap up tonight's show and looking at the rest of the GSRC. But so on tonight's point, overtaking looked like it was at a very much a premium. Turn one, obviously, a prime spot you'd like to go for in most cases. Was there anywhere else you felt confident, comfortable trying to set up moves around here?
I don't think I was actually close enough to anybody to get a move done at turn one, but had you been close enough, we had outlined it to all the drivers that were going to potentially be on track tonight, and Race Control reiterated the point as well that maintaining the car inside the white line at turn one was the absolute limit. So you had to at least keep 2 tyres inside. So even if you did go for that potential pass on the inside of turn one, obviously maintaining a couple of tyres inside the track because it's not technically an off track as per iRacing's definition of the track here. Coming out of turn 3, I had a little bit more confidence in the car. If you were close enough to somebody at turn 2 and you got a better drive out of there's the potential that they would potentially run slightly wider on the exit of turn 3 and you could dive up their right hand side and then have a better line into the start of turn 4, 5 and 6, which I was more comfortable with doing. And then I think it's the very wide right-handed corner at the back of the circuit. I think it's like turn 7 or 8. You could potentially get a move done there as everybody tends to go that little bit wider on the left-hand side to try and straighten up the corner. But that was also another spot that was potential for overtakes as well.
Good to hear that indeed. Well, I think that does it from me, Liam, when it comes to tonight. So whilst we've got Greg here as also the coordinator of our Trophi.AI Supercar series, perhaps a quick chat about what's coming up next week for the Supercars in particular, which touched on it last week for the season opener going through the schedule, but focusing in next week, Road America and a 40-minute race once again. So we'll say goodbye to the sprint action and bring back another pit stop to worry about as well. Big open track is the main thing that we usually expect from Road America. So how are we thinking about how that one's going to go down?
Bathurst sets all round. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be for the long straights and the more flowy corners that Road America offers. I definitely think it'll suit the supercar, particularly being able to use the higher rear ratios in them to get that higher top end speed out of the cars. And Canada Corner will be interesting. I was actually quite surprised as to how much speed we got up tonight coming out of the last corner before turn 1 here. And the coming out of the bottom of the carousel and the kink, and then the bit of a shift in the almost back straight of Road America is going to be interesting at best in these. Obviously in a GT style car, you can pretty much pin it flat through the kink at the back straight, but this is going to be, I would expect where either if we get a full grid, I'm half expecting that there's probably going to be a big one, or there's going to be a lot of cars leaving licorice straps down through the kink and onto the back straight.
Well, there we have it. Thank you very much for the thoughts there on next week, Greg. I think that just about does it from me, Liam. If there's any last minute things from you to add to that conversation there?
Not to add to that conversation there, but I think we should bring Craig into the chat if we've got him.
Well, he blinked. Maybe he's there.
Yeah, me.
Yes.
Well, I'll leave you guys with Bondi, and I'll catch you next week.
Catch you next week, Craig. All right, Craig. First question is, in that feature race, I think, if memory serves correctly, we saw you in quite an intense battle with Rodney Golan. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, do you want to talk us? Yeah, do you want to talk us through what went down there and why overtaking was so difficult around here?
so hard. I found out of the final corner and any right-hand corners, I just had a massive advantage on him because I took left-hand side tires in my pit stop. Did that work? Probably not. I could have been in battle for the podium or something if I didn't take those, but we'll never know. It did help me at the end there for that battle, but yeah, it was a really fun battle. Kept it clean. It's such a tight track, and like there's nowhere to really make many moves, so it makes it really difficult to overtake up. But when you make it overtake, it's very rewarding. So that's one fun bit of it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the classic trade-off, right? The less overtakes you have in a race, the more rewarding each overtake generally is. So it's finding that perfect balance between difficulty and still getting a bunch of overtakes, which some motor racing series do better than others, shall we say. Overall, how do you feel about your performance tonight? You said you reckon the podium might have been a different strategy, maybe, but are you happy with 5th place in the feature race?
Happy with the top 5 in this car. It's a really competitive series. Like for that entire first stint, myself and Lawrence 1-2 in the last race, and then this race it took us an entire first stint to even make much progress. Like it's super competitive, super tight, and when you've got a track which is more difficult than others to overtake, it makes for some really fun racing. But it's pretty good. I'm happy with that result. I'll never know if I could have done better with a different strategy, but redemption from last week from the drive-throughs, and then this week I go P2 in the first race, P5 in the second, so not too bad.
Yeah, that's a really good effort for tonight. And yeah, slightly depleted field, but still some very, very fast drivers in this field. And he did a very, very good job in like what he said is a very, very tight pack. And hopefully that tight pack can just be expanded in the next few races, and we can get some absolutely stellar racing before the end of the season. Just before I let you go, what's your goal for this season? What are you striving for?
I don't really know. Top 10 is definitely my goal for this championship, which I reckon I'm on target for, but I reckon starting with the limited amount of people racing, maybe a top 5 would be a really good goal to chase after. It would be better if we had more competition, because like tonight if you go anywhere below the I was in P9, had 1 second back to King behind me, and then there was 4 seconds back to the next group car. So once you fall out of that 10, there wasn't much competition, whereas if we've got back some of the big names from last season in this series, this battle pack would go down to 15th, 20th easy. So I want a top 5 this season, but I reckon I can chase between top 10 and 5. So that's my goal.
Alright, well, I think you should aim for top 5. And if you miss the top 5, maybe you'll finish 7th and you'll... So let's go for it. Let's be aggressive.
Yeah.
Alright, excellent. Easily convinced. I'll let you go, buddy. Go enjoy the rest of your night. Drove brilliantly tonight, and it's hopefully you feel some well-deserved satisfaction with how you've gone.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good night as well.
You too. Alright, Daniel, what have we got left to do before we wind things up for tonight?
Well, let me have a quick look and see. Adam Levis is working on the points. So whilst Adam does that, I will look to get us... Let's talk about what's coming up for the rest of the week here at the Gentlemen's Sim Racing Club. I think will probably be appropriate. And then I think we can load into points for V8s at least after that to wrap things up.
Excellent. And here is that schedule for what is coming up at the GSRC for the week. Starting tomorrow night with Formula V's at the Bend on the West Circuit, starting at 7:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. And then we go to the Pantech Porsche Cup at Okayama International Circuit for another sprint round at 8:45. Both of those races will be broadcast live, as will the Formula Ford on Friday night. Also at the Bend, but this time at the East Circuit for a sprint round. followed by the Super Formula, not the Super Formula Lights this time around. It is the big boy Super Formula at the Nürburgring GP Streck track for a sprint round. Then on Friday night, we will also do the wheel spin to discover what car and track we'll be racing at on Saturday. And that race will start at 8 PM and will not be broadcast as it is a more casual affair. Then starting off next week, we have MX5s at Road America for a 30-minute race, followed by the GT3s, one of our Premier Series, Virginia International Raceway for a sprint round. Then on Tuesday, not broadcast, it is the Ferrari Challenge. This is a great place for a bit more casual racing, but still plenty competitive. Then we are back here next week for the Gen4 series at Talladega Super Speedway, followed by the V8 Supercars in the standard format, a 40-minute race with a stop at Road America.
Yeah, so that's the week to come here. Also noting, just real quick, if you didn't quite catch, if you did say it, I'm sorry. With the GT3, Waste Up GT3 series this week, it will be the AM split broadcast during race 1 of the sprint format and the pro split on air for race 2. Also, if I remember correctly, keep your eyes open for some rain on Monday nights with the GT3s, if that forecast holds up, although of late it seems that rain's becoming a bit of a mystery within iRacing races that I've seen of recent that threaten it in the forecast and then doesn't show up. So there's that to keep in mind as well.
That is a really interesting curveball that could be thrown. So that'll be well worth watching. Let's tune into that on Monday night at 8:30 PM.
Points are still incoming, so we did mention sponsors, and they're of course circling around here as well. You also of course noted that GSRC do run some merch offers for members of the club. They do seem to come well appreciated.
They are good. They are good. I've got one of the polos, and I've got the slightly dated hoodie at this point, but it is comfortable. It is warm. It is my go-to. I want to be warm in my house hoodie. So it gets a fair bit of wear at the moment because it's been very cold in Adelaide the last couple of weeks, and the polo is decent. Now quickly become outdated, so I'm going to have to upgrade myself, and that is a very old polo, that is t-shirt that has been shown on the screen because Rockstar Volkswagen have not been quite a while now to my knowledge. So we might have to update this graphic as a point as well. But in addition to supporting us by buying stuff from the merch store, you can by supporting our sponsors going across the top and bottom of your screen right now, and they include Pantech, who are sponsoring the Porsche Cup series that runs tomorrow night, the Sprayton non-alcoholic cider, TGSRC, Flash Graphics,
I'll speed it up, but this will probably cut it off. Yep, there.
Waste Options, and Trophi.AI.
Yeah, because it was in the middle of automatic sponsor scroll, and then I'm like, wait, you're reading them off? Hang on, let me help you there. And then it's like, oh wait, hang on, I've waited too long, haven't I? It would appear Adam is most of the way there, but I get the feeling we keep waiting. But who knows how long we'll actually be waiting for, unfortunately. So I might just be very rude and just put it up as an in-progress work here, folks. So I did have a look at the sheet here and can confirm that Rodney Golan actually got promoted out of devs to elite as of the end of last week. So that's why I had him in dev. Let me go find that post for confirmation. Did that come from Adam? No, It's not in the V8 chat for anything, unless it's further up. Anyways, Harry Lawrence, second last round, but wins here tonight. Actually, interesting. Noting here an old post from Greg that class allocations would be adjusted from round 2 onwards, but it feels as though Rodney's been adjusted beforehand. Anyways, that's a little something there. So that's how they're looking. Dev points, I believe, yes, they're still not quite filled into. We've only got last week's dev points there to work off of for now. So with that all said and done, I think we're just about set to call it a night here, Liam.
Yeah, I think we'll do just that. Thank you very much for your efforts tonight, Daniel. They are much appreciated. Thank you very much to everybody that has tuned in and stayed with us to the very end of the podcast. We really appreciate your support and the kind words that you often leave for in the chats and in the comments, and your support of the GSRC as a whole. We'll be back next week for more Wednesday night action, but until then, take care and good luck with all of your racing.